Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on HaniDreamscapes. I'm Hani and today I'm here to show you quick and easy tips on how to edit your second draft. Whether you're an experienced author or you're just a novice, these tips will help you refine your work. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. It truly supports the channel. Now let's dive right in. Editing, unfortunately, is the most challenging part of the writing process. But remember, you've already completed a significant portion of your story, so don't stop now. You can do it! Woo! Editing methods may vary between each individual, but in this video, I will be showing you the tips that I personally found helpful, and I think you will too. The ultimate goal of editing is to enhance your story. Sounds pretty obvious, right? But sometimes we get caught up in the process, losing sight of the bigger picture. So, as you edit and work on your second draft, keep in mind these crucial questions. First, what do I want my story to be? And second, how can I make it that way? Now let's break down the step-by-step process to editing your story from the very beginning. First, address any gaps that you left in your first draft. In my previous video on writing your first draft, I mentioned that it is okay to leave certain sections blank until you finish your story. Now that you completed your draft, go back and fill in those gaps. When you start editing, consider creating a new document or a new story file depending on your software. This approach allows you to compare your old manuscripts and your new manuscripts effectively. On the other hand, some authors prefer printing out their manuscript and editing it on paper. This method can provide a fresh perspective, relieving your eyes from too much screen time. Second, set your manuscript aside for a few months. I know it's tempting to jump straight into editing, but taking a break allows you to approach your work with fresh eyes. Spending so much time with your story will make it harder for you to view your story objectively like your readers will. So this break is crucial. If you find yourself impatient to write, use this time to bring new ideas to life. Once you've set apart your manuscript for long enough, you get into tip number 3. And that is to dive into the heart of your story. Focus on editing the main scenes and problems. This involves significant changes like adding and removing whole scenes or even chapters. Start by reading through your manuscript not once, but at least twice. During the first pass, focus on the big things such as plot holes, inconsistencies, and things that don't make sense. If something strikes you as off or illogical, the chances are that your readers might feel the same way. To make your story better, sometimes that just means using better descriptors and action words. Recently, for an English assignment, I decided to extract a short scene from my novel and insert more specific words. The scene went from this short, useless bit to that. Can you see the difference? Another way to make your story better is to intensify emotion and action. Remember that graph I showed you last video? You may have ups and downs in your plot, but if you raise the stakes and make those intense scenes even more extreme, your story will be a lot more interesting. As your characters are the narrators of your story, dedicating attention to their development and arcs is essential. Dive into deep understanding of them. Their motivations, voices, and distinct personalities shape the narrative. Reedsy has an amazing video on how to strengthen your characters that helped me a lot. I highly recommend watching it when you have the chance. Here are some key aspects to consider about your characters. 1, it is completely normal for your character to change in terms of your character arc. But as you continue to write your story, you might end up finding out more about this certain character's personality. Make sure that your characters keep that same personality throughout the story. They might change a little bit as the book goes on, but they still are the same human being. 2, each character should have a distinct voice. Readers should recognize who is speaking without constant dialogue tags like he said or she said. 3, explore your characters' backstories and motivations. Every action should stem from a motivation, no matter how subtle. Realism and depth and character behavior makes the story more immersive and believable. I'm noticing I'm using a lot of counting. I hope you guys know how to count. Because I obviously don't. I keep having to use my fingers, bro. 4, develop well-rounded characters with their unique traits such as hobbies, clothing styles, mannerisms, etc. Make them unique and memorable. Readers should feel like they know the characters well enough to predict their reactions and behaviors. 5. Make sure that your characters' arcs make sense within the context of the story. Character development should align with the narrative, reflecting the events and challenges that they face. Now it's time for the nitty-gritty details. Do your second read-through and focus on line editing. This means analyzing your sentences for manuscript form, grammar, verb tense, word choice, and spelling errors. Address all the smaller problems that might lurk within a single sentence. Here are some straightforward tips for line editing. Use words that you understand. Fancy vocabulary does not make your book better if you don't even know what they mean. Divide your revision. If you're overwhelmed by your different types of revisions, consider breaking them up into multiple steps instead of just reading it through once or twice. Well, you should be reading it over at least twice anyways, but you know what I mean. And last but not least, it's time to get some fresh perspectives. Give your manuscript to others for editing. They can give you overall feedback or help you with more detailed errors. This is the part where most authors spend $1,000 to $3,000 to hire an editor. But you can also seek help from family, friends, and beta readers. Remember, brutal honesty is important for improvement. If you can't find someone in your immediate circle, websites like Scribophile, I think that's how you say it, can connect you with beta readers. Of course, you do have to be 18 in order to use this amazing website, which many authors have made use of. But if you do desire to use Scribophile, it will be linked in the description below. Contrary to what you might hear, you don't necessarily need a professional proofreader or editor to craft a compelling story. Many self-published books have actually thrived without them. However, if you're aiming for a writing career, hiring a professional editor is definitely the way to go, even though it might include a slight risk. Reezy is a great user-friendly platform where you can find the right editor or proofreader for your needs. So if that's something you're interested in, I will also have them linked in the description below. And there you have it, the complete process of editing your book. If this video has been helpful, please consider subscribing and giving it a thumbs up. Your support means the world to me. If you have questions, thoughts, or comments, don't hesitate to drop them below. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye, and happy writing!